Hey, here we go. All right. Well, good morning, everybody. Happy Monday to you. Wanted to chat a little bit about some economic news and some things that I've been sort of hearing in the last couple of weeks that makes now a really opportune time to make sure that you're focused correctly on your business. I think I have heard more in the last 60 days from executives that have felt like something's just not right inside their business. Their sales may still be good. Maybe they're thinking it's inflation that's affecting them. Maybe they're nervous about what's happening in the economy, in the world, global situations. And I think there's a lot to be warranted from that. We've got lots of weird economic news that has been coming out recently. You're seeing more and more layoffs, particularly in the tech sector. We could talk about why that is. I think some of that has to do with AI, some of that has to do with extensive overhiring and belief in perpetual growth that just has not translated out into the marketplace. But for the most part, I'm hearing from more and more CEOs as I am going out doing a lot of public speaking that they feel like something's not right. And I keep giving them this analogy, and I want to show it to you because if you've ever done the sailboat diagram in your business and done this exercise, you'll know what I'm talking about. This is a lean, agile method of thinking about your boat, your boat, your business as a sailboat, the wind being the sail, the sales, the marketing, the momentum, the things that are moving us forward. I think the sun in this is sort of like the economic conditions. We have a vision out there, but we also have this anchor that's dragging in the water. And depending upon how heavy that anchor is or how much, how many things are attached to that or what it's trapped into, what we find is that there are many times in our business where it's not the wind, it's the weight. It's not the wind that's holding us back. The sales are there, the marketing is there. There still feels like there's momentum. Orders are still coming in, but something is still not right. You're not moving as quickly as you should be. And a lot of that has to do with challenges in process. If you know anything about me, I talk about Edward Deming a lot. Edward Deming, my apologies. 85% of all problems inside organizations are related to the system and have nothing to do with the people. Now, this is the greatest statistician in the last 2 millennia. And that's the way that he looked at it, is that 85% of the problems are the system, not the people. So what's wrong with the system right now? Well, sometimes success can break process. So you've become successful, you're putting more volume through the system, and therefore the system limitation has been met. And we're exceeding the limitations of the system, and therefore there are breakdowns in that system. If you think about it, if you're driving a car at 50 miles an hour, yes, you're going to have problems. But if you're always driving at 150 miles an hour, you need pit stops. You've got to be, the faster that you're moving in any direction, the more often you need pit stops to check in and make sure that things are working correctly. Because if you don't do that, you'll eventually slow down. You'll lose the race, and you can create some catastrophic conditions. One of the things I've been noticing more and more in the process maps that I'm seeing coming through from our certified facilitators in the marketplace is what I call the COVID loop. A lot of businesses right now have a COVID loop. What is a COVID loop? It means that we did something to our process starting around March or April of 2020 that made a lot of sense in those conditions. But the world is very different 4 years later in 2024. Just had an instance with a client recently where they had this supply chain loop where they were double and triple checking and they're ordering things and those things are getting here. They're putting these long lead times into their ordering process, and they have multiple people that are in there with these checks and balances. But yet when we look at how quickly they can get materials, they can get just about anything in under a week. So they've created this long loop inside this COVID loop inside the business, because in 2020 and 2021, 2022, maybe even parts of 2023, it was a necessity. But no one has gone back and actually shut that loop down and removed it from the process because there's people working in it. So you can't think as a leader, your people will come to you and offer to shut that down. Do we still need to be doing this? Do we still need these 3 people? Do I still need to work here? No, they're never going to do that. You've got to get that up on the board. You've got to get that up on the wall. You've got to be able to see the interconnectedness of all the system. And you got to be able to ask yourself why. do some root cause analysis through and through the process to determine that. So I think a lot of CEOs are saying something's not right with their business right now. I'm saying it's the wind. It's not the wind, it's the weight. Sales and marketing seem to be okay. What's the anchor that you're dragging in your business? That's what you've got to figure out. Success can break process, but also things like that COVID loop that I talk about can break process. The reality is, though, you can't fix what you can't see. If you don't have a purview of the system inside the business and you understand where these things are, it is not possible for you to fix it. So that's why it's important to think about mapping your process right now. That's why it's important to be extracting pain from the process, figuring out how to speed things up. The reality is this: the best time ever for process consulting was 2008, 2009. And that was because everybody realized that they couldn't make any more cuts without causing too much damage to their business. So instead, they realized they had to get into process efficiency. They had to figure it out. The companies that did that in 2008 to 2007, 8, 9 are still around today. The companies that didn't are not. The reality is that having a streamlined process, eradicating pain from your process, that actually is a competitive advantage because it allows you to go faster. Going back to that sailboat once again, right? It is the weight, not the wind. How do we get rid of as much weight that's holding this boat back as possible so that the wind that is out there, even if the winds fail, even if the winds slow down, if we've got a lighter boat, we're able to move farther. So something's not right with your business. You're feeling that. Think about it this way. It is not the wind. It's not the sales. It's not the marketing. It's not the lead generation. It is likely some problems in your process. I almost guarantee you, if you were involved in the supply chain at all in the last 4 years, you have a COVID loop built into your process. You have multiple people doing tasks and activities that are no longer necessary because of the changing conditions of the market. Success also can break your process if you haven't gone through and done some serious process mapping, mining, engineering, and design in the last 5 or 6 years. You probably have a process that is incredibly inefficient that needs to be thought through. Recognizing that I'm not here to blame the players in this. I'm here to blame the ball. The system has created these problems because systems by nature entropy, but they also get larger. And that's what causes that entropy, is that they keep unintentionally getting larger and larger and larger over time. So listen, if you've got those kind of problems in your business, I would highly encourage you to start looking at your processes, look at your systems, start drawing these things out on a map. Of course, we have 2 businesses that do this, so we're happy to help you with that. Check out our content here, check it out on YouTube, on the podcast, on LinkedIn. Find out how to improve this stuff in your business. And I think what you're going to find is you can reduce the weight of that anchor, which means you don't have to sell as much, which means that even if sales start to diminish, you can keep your profitability at the levels that you want to. All right, until next time.